Switzer regular and independent investment expert Roger Montgomery joins us for a look at 5 stocks that pass his valuable cash flow test.
So,
go to the goodies.
Go to the good ones. So, by contrast, by way of contrast, Monadelphous.
Yep.
Okay, Monadelphous is a company.
That passes so many ticks, doesn't it, Monadelphous?
Well, it's been a great business for a long time. So it's reported profits of $357 million in aggregate over the last 10 years.
Yep.
But cash flow from operations, $500 million. Okay, significantly better. Cash flow from investing activities, it's actually negative. They've actually received money from their investments.
What are they doing over there?
Yeah, exactly. So their cash, and then they've paid dividends of $270 million. So they've got a funding surplus of $200 million. And what have they done with it? Well, they've paid down $70 million of debt in aggregate over the last 10 years, and they've reduced their capital. So potentially bought back shares of $53 million.
What are their dividend payments like, Monadelphous?
Well, cash dividends paid, they're almost, well, it looks like, compared to the reported profits, it's about 80%.
Okay.
An 80% payout ratio.
Next.
Okay, Technology One.
Yep.
Here's another company that reported a profit of $17 million last year, but cash flow from operations $31 million. They've never borrowed any money.
Love the sound of that.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Forge Group. Forge we've talked about here before.
Yeah.
Okay, so they reported a profit of $57 million, but cash flow from operations exceeds that. So over the last 10 years, cash flow from operations about $75 million. They've invested about 23 of that. They've paid dividends of about $5 million, so they've got a funding surplus of $45 million. They've paid down debt of $13 million and they've got some money in the bank.
Remind my viewers what Forge does.
Okay, Forge is a picks and shovel supplier, if you like, a contracting labour supplier to mine sites, and they're horizontally integrated rather than vertically integrated. So they stay with a mine through the life of that mine, and they provide all the services through the entire life of that mine.
Okay, mate.
Okay, Fleetwood. Fleetwood, another business that previously received plaudits because it was part of the ageing baby boomers and the grey nomads. They second biggest caravan manufacturer in Australia. But when that wasn't going so well, suddenly the resource boom took off, and they provide the dongers for mine sites. Dongers being those huts. Demountables that the workers stay in the air. They call them
dongers. Is that a Victorian thing, or is it the mining industry called that?
I was told on a visit to one of these sites that they call them dongers.
Okay.
It's not an appealing name, but I thought it'd get people listening if they weren't listening to the program a minute ago. All right, so Fleetwood, we'll finish up on this one. Fleetwood reported a profit over the last 10 years in aggregate of $217 million, but their cash flow from operations $100 million more. So as a result, and they've invested some money. They invested $152 million, paid dividends of $146 million. They've managed to pay off debt of $32 million and pay down some of their equity, or pay back some of their equity of $2 million.
Superb. Now, you've got another one there, haven't you?
I do.
Yeah, we've got time.
Okay, we've got a bit of time. All right, well, this is the last one. We've talked about this. It's a favourite of yours and mine. It's ARB.
ARB.
We call it the bloke stock, don't we? Because it's a four-wheel drive parts and accessories supplier. They reported a profit in aggregate over the last 10 years of $158 million, but cash from operations $170 million. Okay, so if we take that cash, $170 million, they've invested $68 million, so they've got $100 million left. They've paid dividends of $92 million. So they're self-funding the dividends. Now, what's interesting is the second lot of businesses are actually self-funding. Their business operations are funding the other things we'd like businesses to do.
And many of these have passed your intrinsic value test at various stages.
The second group are all A1s.
Yeah, A1s.
The first group are all C5s.
So the question is, of all the things, like the intrinsic value test is critically important to you, but the cash flow test is very important as well.
There's two parts to the investing puzzle. One is quality, so you want to get a business of great quality, and I think a business that can fund doing things, so expanding, it can fund it from its business cash flows, it can fund expansion, it can pay dividends, it can buy back shares, it can do all those wonderful things that you can do with cash. Well, we want great quality businesses. So that group there, they're A1 businesses.
But
and then we want a cheap price.
Yeah, has it ever happened that you've got a great cash flow company but didn't pass the intrinsic value test?
Oh, absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
Plenty of companies generate great cash flow, but they're expensive because they're desirable. They're businesses people want. Investing in the stock market is not unlike a horse race in the sense that the companies with the best odds of winning are going to have the heaviest weight and the worst odds in terms of betting on them. So they're going to be favourites.
Yeah, okay. Anything else that is an important observation on the cash flow measure for selecting companies?
Look, it's just very easy to do, and I put a note up on this on my blog, and I referred to it last fortnight. So on the blog, I talk about how to calculate this particular cash flow, and I give an example of how to do it.
Have you road test this with a normal person? You've got to remember, you're a person of immense grey matter inside their head.
Oh, you're very, very kind.
But
I'm not actually, and that's what makes this possible. Anyone can do this, quite frankly.
Okay.
But everyone who goes to the blog and writes comments, and they're many of them are new investors. They haven't invested before, but they've read my book and they've decided, well, this makes sense. It's practical, and it allows you to forget about all the noise and all of the distractions that occur in the stock market on a day-to-day basis. Focus on good businesses, buy them when they're cheap.
Mate, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
See you soon.